The barbok were unlike any other species humanity had encountered. Elegant, highly intelligent, and adept in organization and domestic skills, their arrival on Earth sparked a wave of fascination and curiosity. They quickly integrated into society, aiding in tasks that were once mundane but time-consuming for humans. Among the bustling megacities of this interstellar future was New Stockholm, a sprawling urban landscape of neon lights, advanced technology, and diverse inhabitants. Arthur Manson, a 36-year-old tech entrepreneur, lived in a luxurious apartment on the city's upper tiers. His success in neural implant technology had given him a comfortable life, but something was missing. Consumed by his work, Arthur often found himself lost in routines, devoid of companionship. It was in this lonely monotony that he decided to hire a barbok domestic aide to help manage his home. This decision marked the beginning of a story that would change his life forever. When Ava arrived at his door, Arthur was unprepared for the impact she would have. With shimmering blue skin, luminous amber eyes, and elongated, delicate ears, Ava was breathtaking. Though her appearance was distinctly alien, her demeanor carried a quiet grace and humility. She stepped into Arthur's home with a mix of curiosity and determination, eager to learn about human customs and technology. "Do you know anything about Earth?" Arthur asked as he demonstrated the holographic kitchen controls. "I know little," Ava admitted, her voice soft but resolute. "But I want to learn." Arthur smiled. There was something refreshing about her curiosity, a stark contrast to his usual interactions. Over the days that followed, Ava's enthusiasm for learning became a source of unexpected joy for him. She marveled at Earth's music, stumbled through human idioms, and even attempted cooking, albeit with humorous results, like the time she confused baking powder with an alien compound that emitted sparks when heated. One evening, as the two stood on the balcony overlooking the city's shimmering skyline, Ava turned to Arthur. "Don't you miss having someone close to you?" Arthur hesitated, the question catching him off guard. "Life here is busy. I suppose I've gotten used to it. What about you? Do you miss your home?" Ava's amber eyes softened. "Home is where I'm welcome." Her words lingered with Arthur, igniting a spark of warmth he hadn't felt in years. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of an extraordinary bond that would defy all odds. Ava's eagerness to learn about human culture continued to blossom, transforming Arthur's daily routine into a journey of discovery. Her curiosity about the simplest things, from Earth's weather patterns to holographic entertainment, brought a sense of wonder into his life. But it wasn't just her curiosity that fascinated him, it was the sincerity with which she embraced everything new. One evening, after an especially chaotic day at work, Arthur returned home to find Ava rearranging the books on his shelf. She held each book as if it were a treasure, her luminous amber eyes scanning the covers with fascination. "You're back," she said, her voice tinged with excitement. "I found these fascinating stories in your collection. Do humans read for fun or for knowledge?" Arthur smiled, dropping his bag on the couch. "Both. Reading is like traveling to another world without ever leaving your chair." Ava tilted her head, a small smile playing on her lips. "I'd like to try that someday. Maybe you could recommend one for me." As the days passed, their interactions deepened. Arthur found himself drawn to Ava's unfiltered perspective on life. She questioned societal norms and marveled at things most humans took for granted. Her presence was a reminder of life's simpler joys, but it also brought moments of startling intensity. One such moment occurred as they discussed cultural differences over dinner. "How do humans reproduce?" Ava asked innocently, her tone devoid of mischief. Arthur nearly choked on his drink, his face flushing red. "That's quite a question. I want to understand you better," she explained. "Humans are so different from us. It fascinates me." Her sincerity disarmed him, but the conversation stirred a strange tension he couldn't ignore. He decided to keep his explanation clinical, yet as he spoke, he couldn't help but notice the way Ava leaned in, her gaze unwavering. Later that evening, as the city lights cast shimmering reflections across the walls, Arthur found himself lost in thought. His feelings for Ava were evolving into something more than mere companionship, but the implications of such emotions were daunting. Could a bond between human and barbarian truly flourish in a world still struggling to accept coexistence? The relationship between Arthur and Ava took an unexpected turn one evening when she approached him with a question that carried an air of innocence but hinted at something deeper. "Arthur, I've been observing humans express themselves through movement. I think you call it dancing." Arthur chuckled, leaning back against the kitchen counter. "Dancing, yes. It's a way to celebrate, to communicate feelings without words. Why do you ask?" Ava tilted her head, her luminous amber eyes glinting with curiosity. "I'd like to try it. Will you teach me?" The request caught him off guard, but her enthusiasm was irresistible. He stepped to the living room, dimmed the lights, and activated the sound system. A soft, melodic tune filled the space. Extending his hand toward Ava, he said, "Let's give it a try." Her slender fingers slid into his, their cool texture contrasting with his warm skin. She moved tentatively at first, her steps clumsy as she tried to match his rhythm. Arthur guided her patiently, offering small reassurances when she faltered. As the music flowed, Ava's movements grew smoother, her natural grace shining through. "This is exhilarating," she said, her voice tinged with wonder. Arthur smiled, his gaze locked on hers. "You're a quick learner." The air between them grew charged, their movements slowing as the distance narrowed. For a brief moment, they stood still, their breaths mingling in the intimate space. Arthur felt an unspoken connection, a bridge forming between two vastly different worlds. Before he could process the moment, a sharp noise broke the spell. The room's security panel flashed red, accompanied by a piercing alarm. "What's happening?" Ava asked, her voice steady but her eyes wide with concern. Arthur rushed to the console. "Motion detectors. Someone's near the house." He activated the external cameras, revealing a shadowy figure lurking near the perimeter. The figure held a device emitting green sparks, its purpose unclear but ominous. "Stay here," Arthur said firmly, grabbing a defensive baton from a nearby drawer. "No," Ava replied, stepping in front of him. "If it's dangerous, I'm coming with you." Her determination was unyielding, and Arthur realized there was no point in arguing. Together, they ventured into the darkened corridors outside the house, their senses heightened. The confrontation ended without violence, the figure was a petty thief attempting to breach the property's defenses. But the incident left a lasting impact. For the first time, Arthur and Ava had faced danger together, and the trust they placed in each other felt profound. The incident with the thief left an indelible mark on Arthur and Ava's relationship. Though the threat had been minimal, the experience forged a deeper bond between them. The trust they had shared that night lingered in every glance and every word they exchanged. As the days passed, Arthur noticed subtle changes in their dynamic. The moments of laughter, the shared silences, and even the simple gestures of daily life began to carry an emotional weight. Ava's presence wasn't just a convenience anymore, it was a necessity. One rainy evening, as the soft patter of droplets against the windows filled the room, Arthur stood in the kitchen, preparing dinner. Ava sat nearby, her eyes following his every move with quiet fascination. "You seem to enjoy this," she remarked, her voice filled with genuine curiosity. Arthur glanced over his shoulder, smiling. "Cooking. It's therapeutic. But it's even better when there's someone to share it with." Ava tilted her head, her amber eyes shimmering in the dim light. "Someone like me?" The question caught him off guard, but Arthur didn't hesitate. "Exactly like you." Her lips curved into a soft smile, and for a moment, the air between them felt heavy with unspoken words. After dinner, they moved to the couch, where the conversation flowed effortlessly, punctuated by occasional laughter. As the evening deepened, the laughter faded into a comfortable silence. Arthur found himself watching Ava, mesmerized by the way her luminous skin seemed to glow faintly in the soft lighting. "Ava," he began, his voice unsteady, "there's something I need to say." She turned to him, her expression open and patient. "I've never felt this way before," he admitted. "You've brought something into my life that I didn't even know was missing." "And he paused, struggling to find the right words. Ava reached out, placing a cool hand over his. "Arthur, I feel it too. There's something about you, about us, that feels right." The vulnerability in her voice melted away any lingering doubt. Arthur leaned closer, his heart racing as their eyes locked. Slowly, he closed the distance between them, his lips brushing against hers in a tentative, gentle kiss. Ava responded with a fervor that surprised him, her hands sliding up to rest on his shoulders. The kiss deepened, an unspoken promise passing between them. When they finally pulled apart, Ava rested her forehead against his, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't understand these feelings completely, but I want to. I want to explore this, with you." Arthur cupped her face in his hands, a small smile playing on his lips. "Then we'll figure it out together." For the first time in years, Arthur felt a sense of hope, a belief that, despite their differences, they could forge a path forward. The days following their shared moment of vulnerability were filled with a new sense of purpose. Arthur and Ava found solace in their growing connection, but the outside world was far from peaceful. News reports grew increasingly dire, painting a picture of rising tensions between Earth and the Barbok. In the living room of Arthur's apartment, the holographic news feed projected the grim reality. Political leaders debated heatedly over accusations of exploitation and cultural misunderstandings. The once celebrated alliance between humans and the Barbok was unraveling at an alarming pace. The coalition has declared that all Barbok citizens must return to their home planet within 30 days, the news anchor announced. Failure to comply will result in forced deportation. Arthur turned off the projection, his jaw tight with anger. Ava sat beside him, her usually vibrant eyes dulled by worry. "They can't do this," Arthur muttered. "You and so many others have built lives here. This is your home now." Ava looked down at her hands, her voice trembling. "But they can. The coalition has the power to enforce their will. If I stay, I put you at risk." "No," Arthur said firmly, turning to face her. "I won't lose you, Ava. We'll find a way to fight this." The determination in his voice gave Ava a glimmer of hope, but the odds were daunting. As the deadline loomed, Arthur began devising a plan. Leveraging his expertise in neural implant technology, he reached out to trusted connections who could help them navigate the increasingly hostile environment. One night, while Arthur worked tirelessly in his home lab, Ava approached him. "What are you doing?" she asked softly, her voice tinged with both curiosity and concern. "I'm creating something to protect you," he replied without looking up. "A cloaking device for your biometric signature. It'll mask your presence from coalition trackers." Ava's expression softened as she watched him work. "You're risking so much for me." Arthur stopped and looked at her, his gaze unwavering. "You're worth it." As the days passed, the device was completed, a small implant designed to fool even the most advanced scanning technologies. But Arthur knew it wouldn't be enough. To truly ensure Ava's safety, she needed to blend in with the human population. "I've arranged for a procedure," Arthur explained one evening. "It's experimental, but it'll alter your appearance and biological markers. You'll look human." Ava hesitated, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "And if it doesn't work?" "It will," Arthur assured her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "But only if you're willing." She met his gaze, her amber eyes filled with trust. "I'll do it. For us." The procedure was scheduled for the following morning. Arthur stayed by Ava's side throughout, his heart racing as the technicians worked. When it was over, Ava opened her eyes and looked in the mirror. Her once shimmering blue skin was now a pale, human tone, and her elongated ears had been reshaped. "You're beautiful," Arthur said softly, his voice tinged with emotion. Ava smiled, touching her face as if seeing herself for the first time. "I feel different. But still me." With her new appearance, Ava managed to navigate the city unnoticed. The world around them grew increasingly hostile, with frequent raids and inspections targeting Barbok citizens. One evening, inspectors from the coalition arrived at Arthur's home, demanding access to search for any hidden aliens. Arthur and Ava remained calm as the inspectors scanned every corner of the apartment. Ava's cloaking device worked flawlessly, and her human appearance raised no suspicions. When the inspectors finally left, the tension in the air eased. "They're gone," Arthur said, exhaling deeply. Ava stepped closer, wrapping her arms around him. "Thank you, Arthur. For everything." He held her tightly, his resolve stronger than ever. "We're not just surviving, Ava. We're fighting for our future. Together." Arthur and Ava found themselves living in a fragile peace, their love growing stronger with each passing day. The danger was always present, lingering like a shadow on the edge of their happiness. Yet, they chose to focus on the moments they could share, small victories in an increasingly hostile world. Ava adapted to her new identity with remarkable grace. She ventured out cautiously, exploring human culture in ways she had only dreamed of before. Arthur, ever her guide and protector, found joy in seeing the world through her curious eyes. One afternoon, they walked through the city's central park, a rare oasis of greenery amidst the towering skyscrapers. Children played in the open spaces, their laughter carrying on the wind. Ava watched them with a wistful expression. "What's on your mind?" Arthur asked, noticing her distant gaze. "Do you think," she began hesitantly, "that we could ever have a family of our own?" The question took Arthur by surprise. He turned to her, seeing the vulnerability in her eyes. "Ava, I don't know what the future holds. But with you, I believe anything is possible." Her smile returned, a mixture of hope and determination. "Then I'll hold on to that belief, too." As the days turned into weeks, the political situation grew increasingly volatile. The coalition's rhetoric against the Barbok intensified, with harsh penalties for anyone caught harboring them. Arthur and Ava knew they had to remain vigilant, but their love gave them strength. One night, as they sat on the balcony overlooking the city, Ava spoke softly. "Arthur, I want to do something meaningful. Something that shows the world what humans and Barbok can achieve together." Arthur considered her words, nodding slowly. "Then let's find a way. Your skills, your perspective, they're gifts. We can use them to help others, to show that unity is stronger than fear." Together, they began working on a project that combined Arthur's technological expertise with Ava's natural aptitude for problem-solving. They created a network to assist Barbok refugees in adapting to human society, providing resources and support to those who had nowhere else to turn. Their efforts didn't go unnoticed. Quietly, a growing number of humans and Barbok began rallying behind their cause. Stories of their success spread, offering a glimmer of hope in an otherwise divided galaxy. But their actions also drew unwanted attention. One evening, Arthur received a cryptic message on his secure terminal. The coalition had begun monitoring his activities, suspecting him of harboring a fugitive. "We're running out of time," Arthur said, his voice heavy with concern. "They're getting closer." Ava placed a hand on his shoulder, her gaze steady. "Then we'll fight. Together." The determination in her voice was unshakable, and Arthur knew she meant every word. No matter the odds, they would stand side by side, defying a galaxy that sought to tear them apart. As the coalition's scrutiny intensified, Arthur and Ava knew they had little time to secure their freedom and ensure their work's survival. Their project to aid Barbok refugees had gained momentum, but with it came greater risk. Every new ally and every successful operation brought them closer to the coalition's radar. One evening, as Arthur reviewed encrypted messages from their network, Ava approached him with a resolute expression. "We can't keep running forever," she said. "We need to make a stand." Arthur looked up, concern etched across his face. "Ava, if we expose ourselves, they'll come for us." "For you." "They already are," she replied, her voice firm but calm. "But if we show the world what we've built, what humans and Barbok can achieve together, we might inspire others to fight back. We can't let fear dictate our actions." Arthur sat in silence, her words resonating deeply. She was right. Hiding would only delay the inevitable. Their cause was just, and their bond was proof that coexistence was possible. Together, they formulated a bold plan. They would reveal their network and their story to the galaxy through a secure broadcast, bypassing coalition censorship. The message would highlight the success of their collaboration and the humanity inherent in both species. The night of the broadcast arrived. In a hidden underground studio, surrounded by a small group of trusted allies, Ava and Arthur prepared to speak to the galaxy. "You're sure about this?" Arthur asked, adjusting the microphone. Ava nodded, her luminous eyes filled with determination. "Yes. If this is our chance to make a difference, we have to take it." The broadcast began, their words echoing across countless systems. Ava spoke of her journey, of the struggles and triumphs she had experienced since coming to Earth. Arthur shared his belief in the power of unity and the strength found in diversity. "Love, trust, and understanding," Ava said, her voice unwavering, "can bridge any divide. We are proof of that. And we will not be silenced." The broadcast was a success, spreading rapidly through underground networks and reaching millions across the galaxy. Messages of support poured in, but so did warnings. The coalition had tracked the signal and was mobilizing forces to shut them down. "We need to move," Arthur said, his voice tense as alarms blared in the distance. Their allies helped them escape through a series of hidden tunnels, but the coalition was relentless. As they fled, Arthur and Ava found themselves cornered in a darkened alley, surrounded by armed officers. "This is your last chance," the lead officer said. "Surrender, and we'll show leniency." Arthur stepped forward, shielding Ava. "You'll have to go through me first." Before the officer could respond, a group of humans and Barbok appeared, their numbers overwhelming the coalition squad. Allies from their network had come to their aid, proving that their message had struck a chord. The coalition forces retreated, unwilling to escalate the situation further. Arthur and Ava stood among their supporters, their bond stronger than ever. In the weeks that followed, their movement grew into a powerful force for change. Protests erupted across the galaxy, calling for an end to the coalition's oppressive policies. Arthur and Ava became symbols of hope, their love story inspiring countless others to believe in a future where differences were celebrated, not feared. One quiet evening, as they stood on the balcony of their new home in a distant city, Ava looked up at the stars. "Do you think we've done enough?" she asked. Arthur wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. "We've done what we could. And as long as we're together, I believe we can face anything." Ava smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. The galaxy was vast and uncertain, but their love was a constant, a beacon of light in the darkness. Together, they would continue to fight for a future worth living, a future built on hope, courage, and unity.